All right, so we're sitting here today with John Collins, Marlo Cole Andrews, and their son, Parker Andrews, who brought this all together. So, Parker, how long have you been making paper airplanes?
I don't know, 3 months or so? I don't know.
All right.
Probably more.
Probably more. And why do you like paper airplanes?
There's a lot of science behind them, and I love learning new things.
Very cool. So, I hear this whole event was your idea, that you made it happen.
Kinda. Like, I wanted to beat the world record with him, and he was looking for a place when we have the perfect place. So is this perfect?
And what did you talk about the first time you and John talked on the phone?
I said, I'm going to beat your world record. That's the first thing that came out of my mouth.
It is absolutely the first thing he said. He was almost afraid to talk. You could almost hear him vibrating on the other end of the phone.
I know.
He was pretty excited.
Lots of energy, yeah.
And then Dad took the phone away because he knows I'm going to be a little shy.
Not at first.
Yeah.
Not really shy now, are
Not
you?
anymore.
Yeah, the second time we kind of had a long chat.
Yeah.
And Cole and I started talking about doing an event here. The Pomeroy is not super busy for 6 months out of the year, so it kind of seemed like a possible place to do something, related to paper airplanes. And the easiest thing to do in fairly short order was to try to put together a world record attempt.
And so basically that was how he convinced you to come to Fort St. John, or was there another draw behind that?
Well, so, breaking a world record just requires this super big space. And so it's really rare when somebody calls you up and says, hey, I got a super big space. And so you're going, oh, a super big space, yay. Yeah. So, if you're interested in paper airplanes at that extreme end, anytime somebody says they got a big space for you to go play in, you take it seriously. So that was, I'm in with both feet at that point. And then Cole had some convincing to do on this end, I think.
Yeah, the amazing thing for our family was, how accessible John was. When we first phoned John, we called him just out of the blue. Because of his obsession with paper airplanes, we thought, well, let's talk to the #1 guy in the world. So when we phoned John, we weren't even expecting him to answer. We were thinking we were going to leave a voicemail or something. And when John picked up the phone, there was a connection with these two right away. Parker started talking about planes in technical terms. And I think John recognized right away that this wasn't an ordinary kid. He was so enthusiastic. So John just started talking right on the level of two paper airplane engineers. They were talking about fundamentals of flight and all sorts of stuff. And, kudos to John for really taking the time for one of his fans. And towards the end of the conversation, I got on the phone with John and we started talking about this facility we have in Fort St. John and how rarely it's used in the summer. And I think by the end of that conversation, we'd already hatched a plan to come up here and go for the record.
Yeah, it was amazing how quickly we hit on that, and then how quickly it happened.
Yeah, exactly. And Marlo was key to organizing all this too. She helped out as well. And it's really great when a small town can pool all their resources together and make something like this happen in a very short amount of time.
Absolutely.
This was probably really 4 real weeks of planning that went into this, and the scope of it has changed drastically. It was a huge event by the end of it. So.
And so, John, how do you feel today went? How did it go?
We gave it a really good shot. I mean, it's a world record distance because it's hard to do, obviously. And I learned a lot over the last 4 days about this facility. I changed my strategy on designing the planes and construction of them. We changed a little bit of a throw strategy for this particular environment. We had 3 months to kind of look at and figure out the last place we broke a world record. And so part of making the right throw is making the right throw for that particular facility, for those particular conditions. So having gone through today, we didn't prevail. We didn't get to the point where we wanted to get to, but we did collect a lot of great data, and I feel like we're ready to do it again. If somebody said, hey, next year, do you want to come and try it again? I would be in with both feet because I think we have a much better chance now having tried.
I'm saying that to you right now. Why don't you come back next year and try
You got
again?
a big space.
So you have definite plans in the near future to try and break your record then?
It's always in the back of my mind. Why would you not try to do that? It's fun being the world record holder, but the one thing you know about holding a world record is that it's going to get broken. And we'd like to push it out there a little bit further, only because when we broke it in 2012, that was kind of our worst practice day of the year. We'd got 230, 240, and so we'd thrown a lot farther, and we know that we can throw farther in that particular spot, but that spot's no longer available. So it's fun to have an opportunity to go to a big place and try to make a big throw.
Yeah,
try
for
to,
sure.
Try to push back that barrier.
And Cole and Marla, you touched on this a little bit, but is there anything else you want to add about how today all came together?
I think it just went great. I think that Parker was so keen the whole time, being 6 years old and getting up at the crack of dawn and doing all these interviews, and he had a smile on his face the whole time, and
Oh my
it
God.
was just such a, like, it was just so great overall, I think.
It was, for our family, the takeaway for our family is you can do anything you want. You know what I mean? If you have an idea and it's good enough, and you reach out to someone, it's going to happen. You know, and that's the biggest lesson learned for a lot of people involved in this is you can do things. You know what I mean? There's no sense in just dreaming about it. Reach out and do it. You know what I mean? So I think Parker's biggest lesson here, whether he continues with airplanes or not, which I think he will, is he knows now that he can do anything, and that was the really special thing for our family.
I sure do.
All right, and one last question, and this is for you, Parker. Are you going to break the world record?
Yeah,
Yep.
That was easy.
it was pretty easy.
Yeah, thank you very much, John, for
Yeah.
letting our family experiences with you. It was amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
We've met a whole bunch of new people and friends all
Yeah.
over.
And now we're going to
all
San
this-
Fran.
Yes.
There you go. Thank you,
New
guys.
Travel places.
Thank you very much.